Yeah, the timer is running.
That's all right.
We're a minute in already and we haven't done anything.
I know. You better introduce it.
I'm starting.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I can. Hang on. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. And welcome to the Spray Synth Masterclass Pop. Hang on, what was it called again?
I've forgotten. The Spray Synth Pop Masterclass. It might be does it have a the? It does have a the, yes.
Hello. Hello, and welcome to the Spray Synth Pop Masterclass. I am Jenny McLaren.
And I am Ricardo Autobahn, and together we are the pop group Spray. And this is a podcast devoted to introducing a podcast. The next hour will be just us saying hello and welcome to the podcast. No, it won't. That's just a joke. I'm just joking. That's joking.
We could do that though. We could, because we were trying to come up with a name for this podcast last time, weren't we? So we could just think of different names for the podcast over and over again.
Yeah, that would be a marketing gimmick that we have a different name for each week. But
yes,
I don't know. It seems overly complicated. It's been hard enough getting the actual podcast online and onto all the various places for the limited listeners we're going to get for this. We'll be getting a special guest in for this episode, one Phil Fletcher, because we're talking about the song Sparks Called and They Want Their Ideas Back. As you all know, we've started our Respray project. All summer long, we'll be putting out remixes of old Spray songs, a bunch of EPs, but we thought we'd throw in a few interstitial, bonus, extra giveaways for the fans. And the first one of which is going to be a new version of Sparks Called and They Want Their Ideas Back because Sparks are popular again. Isn't that right, Jennifer?
They are, aren't they? They are. They've come back again. But have they ever been away?
They've never been away, but they've often been unsuccessful. So people have thought they're away.
So I was going to say, but I was going to leave this till later, but we're seeing as we're talking about it now. Because Sparks Called and They Want Their Ideas Back.
Yes.
As it was written as that originally. But then when we recorded it, we did some lovely harmony layers on it and thought it sounded so good and so ABBA-y, and maybe ABBA were a little bit more well-known than Sparks. We renamed it and we rewrote it really for ABBA Called and They Want Their Ideas Back. And both ABBA and Sparks are now quite more popular than they used to be. Maybe. Well, not than they used to be.
They are quite more popular.
But they've come back around. They've had their highs and lows.
Yes, they both started their comebacks, as it were, around the same sort of time, around that 92, 93 era. Obviously, the only reason ABBA are popular now is because of ABBA-esque by Erasure getting to number one in June 1992.
Of course.
And it was only 2 years after that Sparks made their glorious comeback with When Do I Get to Sing My Way and started their big rise back to fame again that they are now.
That's such a good song. I don't know, well, this is all a bit rubbish. Don't put this in, obviously.
I'm going to put this in.
So, yes, the 90s, ABBA had a sort of revival because I was at uni about that time and we listened to a lot of ABBA at the discos and all that. And then I think I went off them because I'd listened to them too much. And then they had a film. They didn't have the film. Mamma Mia was out. I don't know if that was they got a bit more popular, which is why I think when we wrote this, we thought they would be a more ideal band, a more popular band.
I seem to remember, this song was written around 2011. I've got some dates from these studio notes to excite the fans with, but it's that era when we were trying to please Daz Sampson. Every time we did something, Daz would say Spray's far too arty for him.
Yes.
Why don't you do something mainstream? So we took our Sparks Called idea and made it mainstream. It wouldn't have worked like that, if you see what I mean. No, but ABBA, the interesting thing, around that time that Erasure were doing ABBA-esque, if you remember, we'd had ABBA records in the house all through the 80s as children.
All through our lives, we've listened to ABBA. They've been absolutely part of our lives, haven't they? Go on.
By around the turn of the 90s, they were just a relic of the 70s. They were just a throwback. They were just a not forgotten 70s acts, but they put out a live album, I think, in 86 or 87 or something like that, and it didn't even get in the top 100.
Yeah.
They weren't a everybody knew them, but they weren't a massive thing. And then Erasure did ABBA-esque.
ABBA-esque,
And it all
yeah.
came back again, followed by ABBA Gold. But I had bought do you remember I bought a 3-cassette compilation of the best of ABBA from, I don't know, Woolworths. I think it was my Pickwick label or something like that.
Yes.
And it was a really oddly sequenced compilation, 3 cassettes just full of everything. And then, of course, they came back. And I kind of think it's our influence that brought ABBA back in the first place.
Yeah, it was definitely us.
Get this list up. Yeah. So in about 2011, we wrote a song called Sparks called They Want Their Ideas Back. And I can't remember where we had the idea from or anything like that. This was about the time we were starting to come back again because Bandcamp had been invented. We did Children of a Lazy God in 2006 and then didn't do really very much. But then all these digital services started cropping up in about 2010. So we let's make a bunch of sort of one-offs and do that.
Oh, yes, we did, didn't we? Loads of little mini singles, didn't we? Like the Contract and Piratey Song.
Everything's Better with Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
And all that malarkey. So it wasn't until Enforced Fun a few years later we bothered to make an album again, which I consider to be our year zero, really. That's when Enforced Fun came out. That's when Spray started to be a proper band. We weren't just dicking around.
Do you think, were we saying Sparks called and They Want Their Ideas Back because we were trying to write loads of Sparks songs? Or was it somebody in particular that wrote a song and we were like, that sounds like Sparks. Sparks are after them.
What was Sparks doing then? Sparks had done their string of concerts in London where they performed one album after another. So they were they were fairly well known and people were ripping them off a lot. And I don't know if we were just trying to be...
Maybe that was it, yeah, just generally.
It was just a silly gimmick we came up with. I honestly can't remember.
Anyway, sorry, back to you.
Yeah, it was middle of April 2011 we wrote it, according to my notes here. But it wasn't until November and December of that year that we thought, we should finish this off. Then you came round to the one studio we had back then, because, of course, listeners, if you listen to the first podcast, you know we have 2 studios now.
Absolutely.
And we recorded in February 2012, on the same day, Manga Eyes, the Pirate Song, and Sparks called They Want Their Ideas Back. And we did all the harmonies as well at the same time. When we listened to them back mixed, we went, bloody hell, this is fantastic. You don't really realise what something's sounding like as you're recording it, but when you listen back to it as a rough mix. And so we were thinking about what to do with it. We didn't really know what the song should sound like. It was a very basic demo. But the harmonies were so good that we thought, let's do a massive overblown ABBA-style mix. And that was where we got the idea of rewriting it as ABBA called, because it sounded like ABBA in the harmonies. I might paste in some a cappella harmonies here so that people know what it sounds like.
Oh, that would be lovely to hear.
Sparks called and they want their ideas back. Want their ideas back. Want their ideas back. Taken without any admission price. Compromised and disguised. Shanghaied and burglarized. Sparks called and they want their ideas back.
Love an a cappella.
But in March, we re-recorded it as ABBA called and They Want Their Ideas Back. But soon after that, I think we realised it was a no-go idea.
Yeah, too mainstream for us.
ABBA called and they want their ideas back. Want their ideas back. Want their ideas back. Taken without any admission price. Compromised and disguised. Shanghaied and burglarized. ABBA called and they want their ideas back.
And in the summer of 2012, that got mixed down, and The Contract did, and Manga Eyes did, all these sort of oddball one-off songs. What had taken so long is that we'd got a new studio system. We got rid of Cubase, and we brought FL Studio in instead. And all the old songs had to be imported across and imported to the new system. And that's when we finally started mixing songs again in the summer of 2012. FL Studio we got involved with because there were lots of tutorials on YouTube where 13 and 14-year-olds were telling you how to do things and make trendy-sounding pop records. And we thought, we can just copy those tutorials.
We can do that.
And it came out on the 8th of October as a sort of a virtual 7-inch single with the Pirate Song on the other side.
Oh, I do like the Pirate Song as well. Was it Pirate?
It was the Pirate Song, wasn't it?
Yo ho ho, that one.
That's the very fellow, yes.
Yo ho ho, we're unstoppable, you know. Yo ho ho to the seas. All you've left is the knowledge artist there, and an audience that's trained to all respects.
Yes, there we go. Pirate Song was the virtual A side. Sparks called
Okay, yeah.
was the virtual B side.
Oh.
So yeah, that was October the 8th.
Controversial.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, on the 16th of February, so you've gone through the timeline with us. It started April 2011, recorded the summer of 2012. On the 16th of February 2013, who should post about it on Facebook but Sparks themselves?
Oh my God.
Sparks posted about the song on Facebook, which, according to my notes, inspired a few hundred hits but very few likes.
We made it, guys. Big time.
But the day after, that 17th of February 2013 was very interesting because we got a new fan on Facebook.
Oh, and who was that fan?
It was a strange-looking man with big glasses surrounded by puppets. And I thought, that's an odd profile picture. I'll look into this fellow. It turns out it was a man called Phil Fletcher, the puppeteer of TV National Treasure, Regional Trinket, The People's Princess, Hacker T-Dog. And I'll let him come in now to say what he remembers of the time.
Thanks, Ricky and Jenny. Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it was a long, long time ago. I saw Sparks had retweeted your post about the fantastic song, and I thought, oh, this is exciting. So I listened to it, and I thought, my God, I love it. Then I looked up everything that Spray had ever done, and I downloaded it all from iTunes, etc. And I got in touch and said, I love your work. I think that was the way it went. And then very shortly afterwards, we started recording stuff together, and I think the first thing we recorded together was a version of What Have I Done to Deserve This, with me singing and with Jenny, a fantastic duet.
You always wanted a lover. I only wanted a job.
I've always worked for my living.
How am I gonna get through? How am I gonna get through?
We also did a Keith Teeth version, didn't we, Keith?
Ooh, we sure did, yes. Ooh.
Thanks, Keith. And Barry Thumbs was involved in that, weren't you, Baz?
I was a little bit, yeah, but I didn't want to be, identified with you lot too much.
Thanks, Barry. And then, since then, we've recorded lots of things. The Pound Shop Boys, we've done lots of Hacker the Dog stuff, haven't we, Hacks?
We sure have, Cocker, and I am the people's princess. You were right. So there.
Thank you, Hacker. So in short, although that was pretty long, we're massive fans of Spray, and so should you be. And come and see them live when they're out and about. Also, go and catch the Pound Shop Boys out and about. We're all dead good cockers. And if they'd ever released the original version, ABBA called and they want their ideas back, I would never have heard of them. So then you wouldn't be listening to this. So who's the real winner? I think it's ABBA. Thank you. Over to you, John and Jenny. Ricardo and Jenny. I don't know what you go by on this podcast. Thank you.
Wasn't that interesting?
Oh, thanks, Phil. That was lovely to hear.
And he posted nice comments about us the next week. We started getting in touch, and he asked if we'd done an instrumental mix, and he liked to sing along in the car. So I sent him an instrumental version.
He does
of
like
it.
a sing, doesn't he? He's got a good voice, is our Phil.
Oh yes, that's why he's the lead singer of the Pound Shop Boys.
course.
It's not just for his celebrity contact. It is because he is a talented.
Although that does
talented man.
help.
But then he came round to the Spray studio in May, and we've been firm friends ever since.
We have.
Firm friends. We have lots of fun. One fun. We have one fun.
One singular.
Sorry.
fun.
Anyway, that was all very technical information. What have you got to say for yourself?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I forgot I was here.
Yeah.
No, I do. I can't think of what else to say about it. Don't put that in, obviously. This is me just chatting to you.
It doesn't really sound like Sparks, does it?
No.
That was the criticism we got at the time, that we'd written a Sparks tribute that didn't sound like Sparks.
That's very true. But it wasn't, was it? Well, was it a Sparks tribute? It was just...
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
It's a song about Sparks. It doesn't necessarily have to sound like them. All our other songs might sound like Sparks. But that particular one doesn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, I seem to remember there were elements. There's some glam rock guitars at the start to signify their 70s career.
Oh, yes.
And there's that pulsing electronics in the background to sort of symbolise the Giorgio Moroder years.
Yes.
And then we got a guy called Rich Hymas, who I'd written some songs with Charlie Mason. He played some live guitars on it to give it that sort of Sparks with guitars. But again, it didn't really sound like Sparks.
No.
We should do it live, shouldn't we?
Yes. Should we?
No. Do you remember we got a mention in Classic Pop magazine? There's a big Sparks feature, and there's a one of
Yes,
the
I was going
pages-
to say, was it on the Sparks thing? Yes.
There's I don't know which one album. It may have been Hippopotamus a few years ago in like 2017 or something. There's a big Sparks feature in Classic Pop, and then on the picture of Ron Mail it said Spray, synth duo Spray paid tribute to Sparks with their song Sparks called "And They Want Their Ideas Back." Just that was all they said, like we're a real band or something.
Just dropped in there.
Anyway, that's the story of Sparks called "They Want Their Ideas Back" with special guest Phil Fletcher. I hope he sends something. I hope he sends a recording.
That would be nice.
I'll ask him to do it, and he'll never get around to it. But we thought we'd put it out. We put it out again because Sparks are popular again. So maybe somebody will enjoy it.
Maybe Sparks will enjoy it again. And mention us.
They said they liked it, but I was never quite sure if that was true or not.
The lovely fellas.
Oh, the lovely fellas. We've met them, of course, haven't we?
We did meet them. Of course we
Do you
did.
remember meeting Sparks?
I do. Well, vaguely. We went backstage after was it Shepherd's Bush?
Yeah, Shepherd's
No.
Bush at 99. November or
So
at the start of
Shepherd-
December?
We went as the Cuban Boys, didn't we? So all four of us went,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah.
And then got sent backstage somehow with a little piece of paper saying, "You get to meet Sparks" or something. Wasn't that
We
it?
had a little backstage. It wasn't really a backstage pass. It was
No.
more a little plastic tiny piece of plastic with meet us in the bar for a
Yeah,
drink afterwards
yeah.
or something like that they would hand out to select few. So we went back to the bar and had a drink. And I seem to remember you noticed Russell coming into the bar,
I will have done.
having a glance round, and then leaving almost immediately.
Oh. Yeah.
And then we had a final time, the Cuban Boys, having a nice drink in the bar. And as we left, who should be stood at the top of the stairs but Ron? I dived towards him, shook him warmly by the hand, told him who we were when they want to hear my records, and if they ever wanted any remixes,
Yes.
they're more than welcome.
Got to offer your
Ron,
services up.
He took this all graciously, I seem to recall. He sort of laughed and shook our hands and was jovial about it. But then again, you noticed, standing to one side, slightly away, was Russell, glancing, just looking in case he had to come and save his brother
Yeah.
from these marauding pop stars.
Yeah. But Ron is like one of the most polite. He's just a very polite man, I think, isn't he? Or that polite, that polite American type of person just had to be nice to you.
Oh, yes.
This weird English man who'd had far too much to drink in the bar.
That's reminded me of something else as well, because 7 or so years later, it must have been Hello Young Lovers came out. They were on the Mark Radcliffe show on Radio 6 or 2 or 1. It wasn't 3, it wasn't 4.
5?
Definitely wasn't 5. Must be Radio 1. Was it Radio 1? I can't remember. The point was I messaged in. They were asking for viewers' comments or listeners' comments and questions, and I messaged in saying, I met Ron once, but I was very drunk, so I apologise for my behaviour. And it got read out in chortles, and Ron said, I've never forgiven you.
Oh, he's a lovely man. Lovely man.
Anyway, that's our encounter with Sparks
Yeah.
there. So, as this is a podcast, I should ask what you've been up to lately.
Who, me?
Yeah, what you've been up to lately.
In what respect?
Well, just generally, on podcasts,
Do they do this on podcasts?
they do it at the start generally. We sort
like,
of
little
got a bit
catch-up.
sidetracked.
Well,
Yeah, a bit of catch. What have you been doing since the last podcast?
I went to see popular beat combo Skunk and Nancy.
Ah, the 90s beat combo from yesteryear.
Yes, although they have a new album out. So, myself and my good friend Debbie, who did get a mention on the last podcast. So maybe we just need to mention Debbie every single podcast. It'll be a thing that we'll start doing. She'll love that.
And her assorted children.
Yes.
Each child should get a mention.
Yes. Well, obviously, I mean,
Only if they come up naturally in conversation.
well, we met Ethan for a drink beforehand. But that's the same
did you?
child.
Oh, that was
yeah,
nice.
it was lovely, really nice. So yeah, he'll just get a mention again. But I'm showing Ricardo my album that I got.
there you are.
As part of the.
You've not opened it then?
I haven't opened it because I've got it on streaming, so you don't need to have a CD these days.
Yeah.
I don't believe I've got anything to play a CD on
that.
at all anyway. But Skunk and Nancy were absolutely incredible. They were just
Oh, good.
so good. Really, really enjoyed them. And I've also been listening to You see, I'm maybe going back to the 90s. I've been listening to the new Garbage album as well recently.
Oh.
Yeah. So back
Do they still sound the same?
they do really, yeah, a little bit different, but good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I've been reliving my 90s rock years.
Oh, well, that's excellent. That's excellent. The pre-pop era.
Yes, well, I mix them both together, don't I? The rock and the pop.
She does, listeners. She does, and that's why Spray is so beloved by all. We cover all the crossover bases.
The eclecticness of
Well,
us.
talking of eclecticness, we should say that today we wrote a country and western song to enter the Eurovision next year, and we'll just mention it now,
Yeah.
so that when it does happen, we'll be able to say, "Oh, look, there's us talking about it a year ago."
Exactly.
It'd be a nice clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been up to since our last podcast then? If that's what we're supposed to ask.
Well, I've been my other podcast, Alf's Planning, the world's #1 English language Alf-themed podcast, goes from strength to strength. If you really want to listen to Alf's Planning, the latest episodes have Alf himself, Paul Fusco, the man behind Alf, under Alf, and the voice of Alf, as our special guest, which is quite good. I'm sure you'll agree.
Very exciting.
And I went to the cinema. We went to the cinema. We went to the cinema on Sunday.
What did you go to
Our
see?
annual visit to the cinema to see the Phoenician Scheme.
Oh, is that the Wes Anderson one?
Yes.
Any good?
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah, brilliant. But the man next to me had like a garbage bag full of nachos that he was chomping his way through all the thing. So, I mean, me staring at him didn't do any good at all. It was ridiculous. I'm going to have to start beating people up. But it was a lovely cinema.
I love going to the cinema, especially the Everyman ones. They're so nice. Love going to cinema. The thing that makes cinemas awful is always other people. If you could just
Bastards.
book a cinema out and go and watch it on your own, perfect.
You know what? I was saying this to the good Mrs. Autobahn whilst we were there. The last time we went, it was fairly empty seeing the Phoenician
Good.
Scheme. Last time we went to the cinema and it was full was Oppenheimer. Weird.
Oh.
It was absolutely rammed. But I started talking about the times that you and I went to the cinema in the olden days to see films. There was never anybody in. But the one time that it was full, I said, when we went to see Spice World.
Oh, yeah.
We paid cash money to go and see Spice World at the cinema together
Yes.
back in the day, which I don't remember a single thing about it other than Gary Glitter wasn't in it.
No.
They edited Gary Glitter out before he came out because of his terrible crimes. But I don't remember anything else about it.
There was a bus. That's all I remember.
There was a bus, you're right.
Yeah, that is literally the only thing I can remember.
Yeah. No, but we remember we once did a double of Blair Witch and
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
Yes,
That was it.
I remember that. Yes.
We did a double one day, and we went to see we were the only people in the world to see the Avengers film back in 1998.
Oh, we were. Yes. Nobody else ever went to see that.
Yeah, we've seen some weird stuff.
We have.
Anyway, no, not really weird. I mean, it's just just stuff that nobody else really wants to see. Anyway, yeah, catching up
Yes.
with Spray.
There we
That's
are.
what
That's
Spray have
nice,
been up
isn't
to.
it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's better than talking about our music. Anyway, there'll be a new EP, I think, on July the 11th. I think the second one is scheduled for then. Then there'll be another one at the end of August. And hopefully, maybe a fourth volume around about the start of autumn, because we do have some live dates penciled in.
Yes.
A tour almost, really, isn't it?
A small tour.
Over the course of 2 weekends in October. We're not entirely sure what's been confirmed yet, so we won't mention it more than that. But
No.
But most of the weekends in October, you will be able to see Spray live at somewhere in the country.
Yeah, things are happening.
Culminating in Preston on the 18th of October,
Oh, yes.
which is definitely happening. We're supporting Erasured at 53 degrees in Preston. But also, we're playing as the Cuban Boys. Jenny's standing in with
yes.
the Cuban Boys. Because she's a Cuban boy,
I am
really.
a Cuban boy, really, but I'm actually going to be a live Cuban boy this time.
I don't know if I'm allowed to announce this yet. It may have been announced by the time this goes out, so I'm not going to bother mentioning it. But there will be a gig, a Cuban Boys gig in August that Jennifer will be involved with.
Very excited.
That's the... So, yes, there's quite a lot of gigs coming up, isn't there? Helen Lover off to Milan in July. We're going to Milan on the 20th, I think we're playing some sort of punk rock festival. So it's all go.
That's nice.
It is nice, yeah. Again, I think we might just about break even. So that's what's coming up for Spray. A bunch of remix EPs, a load of gigs. And I can't remember anything else. I keep forgetting things. I write them in my calendar on my phone, but I never look at my phone, so I can't remember.
No. Should we say goodbye to the nice people?
I suppose we better add, really. I mean, unless you have anything else of interest or note to say to
no.
the beloved fans.
Feels like this might be even longer than the other podcast we did, and we're only talking about one song.
So I'll see you at the family barbecue.
Oh, yeah. If not before.
So, thank you for listening, everybody. There'll be another one of these terrible, terrible podcasts before long, probably before the next remix EP comes out. We'll keep you informed of our daily comings and goings.
Ta-ra! Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.